Listen, I'm a very busy man. Let's get right down to business. Okay? Joe is coming later today. I cannot have a subordinate trying to make me look stupid. I need you to promise me that you'll be on your best behavior. I promised other people I'd be on my worst behavior, and I gave him my word. So, don't make me fire you. You can't fire me. You're acting manager, not office manager, so you have no firing powers. Don't make me pre-fire you. You wouldn't dare. Watch this. You're pre-fired, and when I'm promoted, you'll be full fired. If you get promoted, and if you haven't fallen in love with me by then. What? Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Finn. If you're new here, you're all new. This is my second video. I am a young engineer working in the semiconductor industry since I graduated from ASU in the spring of 2022. But before I joined corporate America, I was a student athlete for my whole life. Like literally, even in preschool. Through college. Can you guess what sport I played? I missed school. I loved school. I loved growing and struggling with my peers. I was the person that would low-key get FOMO if I ever missed classes or practice. Of course, now I can appreciate it even more. Specifically, the structure of knowing where I needed to be and what I needed to be doing at any given time of day, and how that really benefited me. Before college, my life was incredibly structured, like to the T. Then came college, and I lost some of that discipline because I had a little more control over my own schedule, with the exception of practice and games and class, I guess. Not to mention COVID. COVID hit the spring semester of my sophomore year, and all of that was a pretty hard adjustment for me. But then, graduating school, losing sports, moving to a new apartment, by myself, living alone, becoming an exempt employee in a corporate world. Bruh, that shit was so hard. So I wanted to share what I have learned so far, some specific tips that have really helped me, some observations of corporate culture, relevant anecdotes, pros and cons, good and bad, this and that. Like and subscribe. Where's Ziggy going? What? Raya's home. Disclaimer, the following information is derived from my personal experience working for a major tech company as a young engineer. I have tried to generalize as much as possible to be applicable to the common corporate culture in America, but of course, every company is different, and I have only worked at the one. So what do I know? Just kidding, you should keep watching. Please. So let me paint a picture for you. You're about to graduate school. Applying and interviewing like crazy, you finally get an offer and set a start date. Getting ready to enter your career as a young engineer at a big tech company. Maybe you're on a high horse because you did well in school, or you graduated from an Ivy League, or you got a great offer. Don't let pride or ego get in the way of your learning. So we're gonna take that pride and ego and drop kick that shit out the door, because this is about to be the most embarrassing experience of your life. Let's get into it. I've heard the term sink or swim used a lot in reference to onboarding as a young professional, especially in an industry like tech where things are constantly changing. And while there is always an element of luck involved, like if you find yourself in a supportive or an unsupportive team, or if your company has adequate training, I would say overall, whether you sink or swim totally depends on you. Your main goal needs to be learning as much as possible, as quickly as you can. And in my experience, the best way of doing that is asking questions. You're new. You're gonna ask stupid questions. Hell, I'm 3 years in, I ask stupid questions every day. But if you let your pride or insecurities get in the way of your learning, you're going to sink. Say you're in a small meeting discussing some technical process that you're not familiar with. You might be listening to people talk for 10 minutes, not understanding what they're talking about before you get a chance to ask a clarifying question. And you might be met with, "We literally just explained that." Or, "Obviously, the answer is this." This is when your ego starts tapping on your shoulder, telling you, save face, stop asking questions, prove your worth, whatever it is. This is when you get to practice throwing that hoe over your shoulder, fucking RKO. Is that what an RKO is? I don't even know. Drop kick that ego out the door, my friends, because it's getting in the way of your learning. Personal anecdote time. Probably like a year ago this happened. Somebody told me, totally unsolicited, out of the blue, I did not ask for this information, that they overheard a specific group, for lack of a better term, talking shit about the owner of XYZ product, knowing damn well that I am in fact the owner of XYZ product. Did I let this get in my head? Of course I did. I am only human. But after thinking about it, those people have no idea what it's like to be in my position, and I have no idea what it's like to be in their position. So what did I do? I took that ego, I took those insecurities, and I drop-kicked them out the door. Because in the words of our great Taylor Swift, I'm damned if I do, give a damn what people say. Let people think what they're gonna think of you. Honestly, it's none of your business, and it says a lot more about them than it does about you. And perspectives change. They could say one thing one day and feel completely different a week later. So if this is something that you try to control, you're going to sink. Conversely, you will feel how you feel about people. Don't let that impact how you work with them. You might find yourself in a heated argument with someone one day. That doesn't mean you should be argumentative every time you are in a discussion with that person. In my experience, and I know this sounds barfingly cheesy, killing with kindness really is the most effective way to get past a conflict. And remember, you need 10 good interactions to counteract one bad one. So, in summary, people will feel how they feel about you. It's none of your business. You will feel how you feel about other people. Don't let pride or ego get in the way of your learning. Now, the social construct of professionalism. I, too, used to turn my nose up at this idea and view it as stuffy or fake or lacking in individuality. Kind of like that one SpongeBob episode where he turned normal.
From now on, I'm normal.
I no longer think these things. In the context of how SpongeBob's world depicts it, yes, that is definitely lacking in individuality. But in my real world experience, professionalism and individuality are not mutually exclusive. Professionalism is more about how you hold yourself than how you look or your individual personality. In school, when you have a bad day, or you have a bad week, or you're mad at someone or you're mad at everyone, you tend to let everyone know through petty behavior, a bad attitude, things like that, which can result in poor performance or difficulty working with others. As a professional, you're expected to own and manage your emotions and not let them get in the way of your work. The best way I can explain this is through a personal anecdote. When I was burnt out last year, I had the luxury option of working remote, which I did a lot. Because I have this toxic coping mechanism of isolation in the face of difficult emotions or situations, taking on what I like to call a silent struggle, which really isn't silent at all because everybody notices, but just doesn't know how to help. Anyway, that's a story for another time. I worked from home a lot, but when I did go to the office, I was sour. I wouldn't talk to people if I didn't have to. I had a bad attitude. I wouldn't eat lunch with my team. I was subconsciously trying to let everybody know I was resentful without really doing anything about it. Looking back, I absolutely wish I handled that differently. So, tip number 2. Help is always available at Hogwarts to those who ask for it. That was my Dumbledore impression. Nailed it! Recognize when you're feeling resentful or underappreciated or just generally struggling and do something about it. The longer you wait, the more cement those feelings will get, and the harder it will be to feel better. Don't wait for someone to save you. Don't wait for your manager to just notice and approach you about it. I've had some of the most attentive and caring managers, but it is not their job to manage my emotions. And more likely than not, they will be grateful for your transparency and happy to help, should you ask for it. At myself. At Finn a year ago. Find ways to make your days enjoyable. Something we do a lot is take breaks and go for walks to the cafe to get some tea or coffee, and then find a nice lounge area to sit and chat, vent, therapize, whatever is needed. Connecting always helps. Now, regarding how you look, I went to private school with a uniform from ages 5 to 18. Then I went to ASU where I wore a lot of this. I had no idea how to dress in a corporate setting. So, tip number 3. When it comes to acceptable clothing, play it safe at first and observe until you figure out the vibe. For example, when walking through the halls of Intel, I see a lot of jeans and a t-shirt. I just got back from work. This is what I'm wearing. I see hats, tank tops, sweatshirts, athletic joggers, shorts, mostly sneakers, some dress shoes, bunny suits, of course. I don't see sweatpants, cargo pants, pants with holes, short shorts, crop tops that show your belly. I also don't see many suits and ties, other than for customer visits. That's another thing. Some roles have different expectations. My site is full of engineers who, thankfully, are much more relaxed in their expected attire, whereas roles that are customer facing are much more formal. Figure out how to combine your style with the vibe of your office. Let's get rid of the stereotype that corporate attire is drab and boring. Personally, I've never felt more free and excited to play with my style. Here's some examples. Next tip, happy hours. Love them. Go to them. In my opinion, this is the simplest way to connect with people outside of a work setting. Trader Joe's espresso martini. If you know, you know. Like I said before, when I first started at Intel, we were completely remote. Personally, I really struggle to connect with people virtually, and there weren't any opportunities set up for me to connect with them in person. So I made the opportunities. I scheduled a happy hour once a month with my team, and it made a huge difference. Home stretch, final tip, and probably my biggest takeaway from my onboarding experience. Tip number 5, 6, one of those. Get to know yourself and your job. What do I mean by that? Well, in school, I never really had to think about how best to organize information because the structure that your teachers and professors provide to you. The homework and the study guides tell you what you need to know for the tests. The textbooks and outside resources give you well-organized information and visual aids. That all goes away when you become an exempt employee, or at least it did for me. It felt really chaotic in the first year. There was an overload of information coming at me, and I was just trudging through the mud, trying to wrap my head around how best to retain it all. This is where I learned not only to ask other people questions, but also ask myself questions about my learning style, organization systems and methods that work best for me. What environments am I most productive in? What helps me focus? And how I best connect with people and collaborate. So first, understanding your learning style. Are you more of a visual learner? Do you need graphs and pictures and animations to better understand a concept or process? Do you need to take notes while people are talking? All of these are a yes for me. So when I was onboarding, I took notes on everything. I didn't yet know how to organize the notes, so every day I started a new OneNote page and wrote down everything. That slowly progressed into trying to map out different things like processes, org charts, supply chains, standard procedures, meetings and their owners, how material moved on the manufacturing floor, different Intel sites and their purposes, the whole assembly line, our development strategy, like literally everything I tried to turn into some sort of a visual, which I would then show my manager to confirm accuracy. So that sort of naturally flowed into my next step, which is creating organization systems and methods that work best for you. Get an understanding of your job and what you are responsible for knowing. What recurring questions are people asking you? Where does the information come from? How can you answer those questions quickly and accurately and effectively? What actions are you responsible for doing every day, every week, every quarter? When I was assigned to my first product, I would create weekly updates in the form of a PowerPoint that I would go over with my product manager. Basically, I made my own worksheet that I had to fill in every week. It outlined things like which regular meetings I needed to attend, who were the owners of those meetings, what was my purpose of being there, what did I need to take away, what were the key topics reviewed. It outlined open items that I was working on closing with status updates and Gantt charts. I wrote down and highlighted any questions that I needed help getting answers to. I even had a few slides that mapped out my daily and weekly tasks to make sure that I stayed on top of everything. This one was a game changer for me because I have ADHD, so my memory is not the most reliable. I can easily get distracted or focused on the wrong priorities, so having a template to remind myself what I need to be doing, where I need to be, why I'm there, and hold all of the notes and information so that I can easily access it later when I inevitably forget was a huge help. I don't do this so much anymore because I'm a pro now, but even still, if I get a little overwhelmed, I will revert back to my worksheet. Okay, step 3, create the environment you need to succeed. And by this, I mostly mean your sensory surroundings. Do you work best with total silence or a little background music? Can you sit still at a desk when listening to a meeting, or do you need space to stand and stretch and move around? Maybe an exercise ball instead of a chair, or a balance board, or a walking pad, or fidget toys. I have all of these things. I'm not lying. Check out all of these fidget toys. This is a fun one. This fidget spinner's on its last leg. This guy pops out a lot. What else? My favorite toy, the kendama. I used to be a beast at this in college. The trick to get it on the pointy part, spinning it. Centripetal force, motherfucker. I used to be a beast in college. Raya got me this. I've never really used it because it feels like stepping on Legos, but it's supposed to be good for the health of your feet. Nope, hate that. Hate it. I'll show you a little B-roll of my cubicle. I have a couple fidget toys and stress balls there as well, and my balance board. If these are things that will help you, do not be ashamed. Back to my first tip, drop kick that ego out the door, my friends, because this is the most embarrassing experience of your life. I get shit for having my favorite stress ball with me all the time. On a related note, take ergonomics seriously, especially if you were a student athlete like I was that led a very active lifestyle and you go from that to a 9-to-5 desk job. Your body is going to hate you. Hopefully your company has some training and monitoring program for ergonomics, but if they don't, here's some important lessons that I learned. So your shoulders should be relaxed and your elbows should be at a 90-degree angle when reaching your keyboard or your mouse. So when I first started, my company bought me this sit stand and I already had the desktop, but I didn't have this keyboard tray. I was literally all the way up here. Look at my wrists. No bueno. And I was super tense, so my shoulders were like very shrugged. If you've never heard of frozen shoulder, I hope you never will. Also, your feet should be planted on the floor and your hips and knees should also be at a 90-degree angle. One more thing. The top of your monitors should be about eye level. They're not up here and you're not having to move your neck to look up, and they're not down here and you're not having to strain your neck to look down. Ergonomics, take it seriously from the beginning. If you don't, your body will make sure that you do eventually. Okay, step 4. We're gonna call it there is no I in teen. Oh my god, really? That's what you're going with? Well, I don't know. What other idiom is there for teamwork? Let me think. Birds of a feather flock together. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. United we stand, divided we fall. All for one and one for all. Ooh, I like that last one. High School Musical vibes. Don't you think you've made enough film and media references in this video? No, I don't think that's possible. Step 4. And one for all. I imagine a lot of corporate jobs require teamwork and collaboration. My job is purely teamwork and collaboration. So, something to ask yourself. How best do you connect with people? Like I said earlier, I really struggle to connect and show my personality through virtual communication. Instant messages, emails, video meetings where nobody turns their camera on. I tend to have much better work relationships with the people that I've met in person. I mentioned that the happy hours made a huge difference when trying to connect with my direct team. Something else that helped a lot in the beginning was setting up one-on-one meetings with the people that were working on the same products with me, where I would turn my camera on, and most of the time that resulted in them turning their camera on as well. And I would just ask them about how our roles intersected. A lot of times they had already worked on at least one product, and so they had some understanding of what they expected from me, what I should expect from them, what their experience was like in the past working with somebody in my role, what worked for them, what could maybe be improved upon, things like that. It seemed like most people were grateful to be given the opportunity to discuss this, and it gave me very valuable insight on how others perceived my team and my role, and provided some guidance on how to move forward in our collaboration. Okay, folks, this is the end. If you made it this far, drop a comment. What is your favorite fidget toy? If you have any recommendations for me, and if any of my advice seemed valuable. I try to make these videos as if I am talking to my 22-year-old self that's just entering her career. I think I have an interesting perspective, being only 3 years in, still being somewhat new, but having some experience at this point. Thanks for watching. Until next time.